is here, and we'll pop it in the chat. You know, it's really important to us that this is a safe place for all our attendees. And there's a parallel session after this keynote, and then closing that has some really exciting information. So I encourage you to stick around for both of those. But before we get there, I'm also, you know, even online conferences take resources. So I'm really thankful to our sponsors who've helped to make this possible. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Bianca Amaro, who's our third and final closing keynote speaker. Dr. Amaro has a PhD in applied linguistics and is a graduate in library science, law, and letters. She's president of the network of repositories of open access to science, La Referencia, member of the executive board of the Confederation of Open Access Repositories, coordinator of Brazilian Open Science Program at the Brazilian Institute of Information on Science Technology, and co-organizer of the Luso Brazilian Open Science Conferences. I'm sure that is just a small slice of the many, many, many things that Dr. Amaro does and has done for the community, for her community, for open, and I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. So go ahead.
Thank you, Leila, for your kind words. And I, first of all, I'd like to thank for the organization to invite me to have the honor to be the keynote of the closing session. And I will start my presentation. Let me see. Well, let's start. Who am I? First of all, I think that it could be interesting to know who am I and why I'm here speaking, to have this opportunity to speaking to you. I'm working with open access since 2003. I work at the Brazilian Institute of Information in Science and Technology. And then there we have been working in dissemination, the strategies of open access. The two strategies. The first, the dissemination of disk-based software for building repositories. And our strategy was the distribution to universities and institutes of research, computers with disk-based and OGS software with a commitment to create institutional repositories. We have now in Brazil, I'm from Brazil, sorry, I'm from Brazil. We have now more than 150 repositories registered in Open Door and 180 repositories registered in RoarMap. And we did a lot of the dissemination and capacitation too of open journal system software. And now we have in DOAJ more than 1,600 indexed journals, but we have identified in Brazil more than 2,500 journals. We are always, I'm always advocating on the importance of open access throughout Brazil, in all the states of Brazil. I had the participation in the conception and creation of La Referencia network. And now I am the president of La Referencia. I've been working the creation of Brazilian Open Access and now Brazilian Open Science Program. and the creation of the Brazilian Open Access Publications and Research Data Portal, OASIS BR. His name is OASIS BR. I'm now participating on the executive board of the CORE. I'm participating on the board of RDA Instance Brazil. I'm participating too in the OGP, Open Government Partnership Brazil. And I have participated in the instance of open science. And now we are starting to work in the assessment process. We have to change our assessment process in Brazil. And I'm also the general coordination, have the general coordination of the CRIS Brazil Creation Project. This is who I am. Let me see. Well, let's talk about La Referencia, the Latin American Open Science Repository Networks. Open Science Repository Networks were formed by an association of government authority of science, technology, and innovation. It was founded in 2012 through the signing of cooperation agreement as a result of the project financed by IBD. Our main principal mission is to give visibility of our production. The world needs to know the production of Latin America. We have a lot of developments here in science, and there are many people that don't know our developments. And so it is very important to give visibility, mainly to the public funded scientific production. And a very important thing is to work in a federated network of institutional and data repository based on a regional agreements and national open access strategies. But we have to say that we don't work only with literature. We started to work with data too. In terms of timeline, the first action that the region had was the project, the IBD project, that was a call to a regional public good project led by Red Clara, and it had the duration of 2010-2013. The main points were obtain the consensual strategy, a political and interoperability agreements, an open source regional harvester and validator. I must say that our principles are the endorsement of the Berlin Open Access Declaration, open access to full text and valid added service, a federated network based on national aggregated, and that the beneficiaries of public funds should publish their results in accordance with the principles of open access. In the period of 2014-2016, we have been working in sustainability and funding, and we started with membership fees since the end of 2013. We worked with the consolidation of board of director and technical groups, and we started with our pilot of service platform. We started with 3 countries. We jumped from 320,000 records to 1.43 million with the participation of all the countries. And we worked in the definition of our metadata guidelines based on OpenAIRE to the implementation at national node level. In the period of 2016-2020, we have been working in the election of a political representative of council, the president, and the consolidation of La Referencia software, La Referencia software, or an open source solution for harvesting, enrichment, and publishing literature and research data metadata records. Distributed solution installed in all nodes, interoperable with other regional initiatives. And we worked also with action in open science embodied in recommendation, guidelines, software, and data repositories. La Referencia nodes institutions are core members. It's interesting to say all the countries make part of core. And so it's so important to us because in that way, we can know and be aligned with the international agreements and to have a cooperation. We we were partner of OpenAIRE 2020 and OpenAIRE Advanced Projects in distributed usage statistic, broker as a service, and guidelines 3.0 and 3.0. We have signed a MOU with FCT from Portugal to use and to develop the La Referencia software. We have an MOU with Zenodo, a CERN collaboration, and we signed also a MOU Lyrasis with to work with DSpace and Vivo softwares. Go. Here you can see all the countries and institutions that make part of La Referencia. And as you can see now, we have extended our action, and Spain make part of La Referencia. And why a country out of Latin America is making part of La Referencia? There is historical collaboration with Spain. It's because we have the same language, not in Brazil, but all the countries in Latin America have the same language, and the exchanges are very strong. And so we are working with Spain too. We are trying all the time to participate in all the forums, in all the events related in open access. We always try to participate in core, in open repositories. It's very, very important to us to be here and participate actively in that initiatives. For us, it's important because we have to know what is doing the world, to follow, to adapt, and to have a voice in that field. In terms of the La Referencia software platform, a new version with collaborative development with recap of the University of Minho, Portugal, and the Brazilian Institute of Information Science and Technology from Brazil. Release expected to the end of 2021. And the new version is centered in the CRIS and CV metadata integration in the repository dashboard for managers and the regional usage of statistic aggregation and reports. It's very important. We are starting to evaluating our results based in this kind of data, not only the traditional data. So we are trying to change how to evaluate the science and the researchers. We are in phase to integrate and deduplicate metadata from different sources. We are building a consolidated entity relation model with the R&D ecosystems, with a design to be adaptable to each country, configurable entity relation model depending on country region needs. We are implementing services and outputs to deliver deduplicated and consolidated metadata to other systems and services. I'd love to know why sometimes it doesn't work. Well, come on.
Sometimes it helps if you stop sharing and then start sharing again.
Well, let me try one. Well, just a minute. Sorry for this technical problem.
Oh, that happens. Don't be sorry.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, here. We have signed also MOU with the African networks, the most important African networks, for the use of our software. And for us, it's very important to establish this relationship with other regions. And I must say that the collaboration is being fostered by COA. And we have the support from the Pan-European Giant Network, OpenAir, and AU co-funded African Connect 3 project. It's very, very important to exchange our activities, to exchange our experience, and to have the collaboration of other regions for our own developments. Referencia, present and the future in open science policies. Well, in terms of legislation, we have the best legislation. We can find it in Argentina. That the main subject is the open science, not open access. It's open science that has been approved in 2013. We have legislation in Peru and Mexico, but in my opinion, it's a kind of legislation that it's much more a recommendation than a legislation, a strong legislation. Chile also published the best practice, and Brazil a manifesto of open data in 2017. We can find an asymmetry inside each country and amongst Latin American countries with some international collaboration and funding. It's very, very important to know it, to understand the situation, the reality of the region, that Latin America does not have common funds to R&D. The funds mainly come from the budget of each country. And as you know, either directly or indirectly, and not always in a stable way. We have to work in the very difficult budgets in the most part of our countries. And as I see, we need a cultural and a change in our research community, but not only with the researchers. We have to change the cultural change with the managers and with the institution that have the work to do the evaluation of the science and the researchers. I think that if I stay 2 minutes here, Referencia in the future in terms of research data. We have now in Latin America 76 repositories registered in R3.data.org. Referencia platform is already capable to collect research data repository metadata. It's very important. In fact, we are collecting now the data repositories. At national level, Brazil is collecting Dataverse instance. Argentina is harvesting across different repositories, and Costa Rica is ready to expose their data repositories. At regional level, La Referencia Central Node is working on collecting data sets from national nodes. We are having a very good collaboration with RDA Global, and we are starting to collaborate with RDA America. We are trying to engage our community in RDA working groups, because as I said before, it's very important to us to have a voice and to explain our reality and our specificities. And so we are trying to participate in all the international initiatives. One thing that it's very important to say about La Referencia is that we work with national nodes. We don't harvest institutional nodes. La Referencia don't harvest institutional nodes. La Referencia harvests the national nodes. The work of the national nodes is to do this work, is to harvest the repositories in all the institutions and aggregate in the national words, and these national words will be collected and harvested to the La Referencia software. We are working with DSpace 7 and the software Vivo. We have a lot of repositories in our region, and we need to migrate more than 200 repositories that are in the version 4, 5, and 6 to pass to the DSpace 7. We have already started to testing. In terms of the software Vivo, we are ongoing initiatives in Latin American institutions, mainly in Costa Rica, Panama, and others. The new version of La Referencia software will export entity and relations to Vivo. La Referencia, it's important to say that La Referencia is supporting Spanish Vivo community in collaboration with Lyrasis. In terms of fair data, as I said, we are participating in the RDA, in the Go Fair initiative, and the Open Government Partnership work. And the new, as I said, The new and our more recent challenge is to work in terms of the evaluation for open science inside the OGP. We are working in the open air guidelines for data archives, in fair data point guidelines for data providers, data management plans, guidelines and policies for research data repositories, and specifically in Brazil, we are building Brazilian CNPq research data repository that is one of the most important funders from Brazil. And we are building two Brazilian IBICs, Brazilian Institute of Information and Science Technology, research data repositories. And there are 4 or 5 others initiatives in Brazil of the construction, the big data repositories. I had the opportunity to participate actively in the formulation of UNESCO recommendations. And it's very interesting. More than 150 countries were participating, and we had very interesting conversations in terms to know how the other countries are thinking about open science, but we achieve to one recommendation. For me, one of the most important things of that recommendation is the aim. The aim is provide an international framework for open science policies and practice that recognize, and it's very important to Latin American, recognize disciplinary and regional differences. We must work with the differences. And other parts is the specific challenges for scientists and other open access actors, in particular in developing countries, and contribute to reducing the digital, technological, and knowledge existing gaps between and within countries. It's, in my opinion, it's a very interesting recommendation. It will be approved in November in the next General Assembly of UNESCO. But I can tell you that it's a good document. It's not a perfect document, but it's a very good document, mainly if we think that we can achieve an agreement with more than 150 countries. Come on, come on. Here. The future of repositories, evaluation and indicators. We have to change the way in which researchers are evaluated. As all we know, we have to change as soon as possible, because I think that it's a point, it's a most huge problem that you have to face is to change the evaluation. I think that the future of open science is directly involved with the evaluation. We have to change the culture of the research managers of institutions and researchers in favor of open science results evaluation. As I see, we have to change the culture of the research managers. If we achieve to change the culture of research managers, it will be easier to change the culture of the researchers. we have to convince the national funding agencies that the adoption of open science should be a condition for funding. As we think that the public, if the research is financed by public resources, we have to put the results and the data publicly. I think that one important project that are being developed now is the Notify Repository and Services Interoperability Project. I think that it could aid us to change, because we will have more data to convince the change that we need. Which are our challenges? Well, we have the challenge to approve a legal framework on open science in all countries. As you could see, as you had the opportunity to see, we have only one good legislation, and we have to try to approve more legislations in our countries. We have to obtain national, regional, and international funding to support open science activities. As I said, we don't have regional funding as Europe has, for example. We have to build a common infrastructure for large data storage and interoperability, since Latin America does not have a common funding. We have the challenge to create a strong national infrastructure with proper technical human resource. We have to capacitate the technical human. We have to increase metadata quality and interoperability, implementing OpenAIR4 guidelines. And we have to consolidate a collaborative software development network. We do a lot with few resources, and we could do much more if we had a more collaborative development network. We have asymmetry that requires setting priorities and working at a regional and international level. And we have to recover the Latin America's research data deposit in national and foreign infrastructures. It is very important to us because it's a way to convince our research that if they deposit their data in the international infrastructures, why not to deposit in the national infrastructures? Come on. Well, as a final, I would like to say that La Referencia is open access, La Referencia is open science, La Referencia is open to collaboration. You are all welcome to collaborate with us. Thank you so much for your attention, and I put here our contacts, and I am here for all the questions that you may have. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much for that wonderful and super informative presentation. Please put your questions in the chat, in the Q&A. If you're on the live stream, you can ask them on Twitter, and we'll see. So the first question, Dr. Amaro, is, and you spoke about this a little bit, but can you explain more about the relationship and the differences between La Referencia and Amelia CA?
Sure, Amelica.
And
Amelica. Yes, there are very different initiatives. Amelica works with journals, and La Referencia works with journals, but only in the way of harvesting the journals. And La Referencia works with repositories. Amelica doesn't work with repositories, works only with journals.
Wonderful, thank you. Samuel says, thank you for your presentation. The question is about navigating the differences between different languages. Since Brazil is Portuguese speaking, how have you navigated the difference between Spanish and Portuguese nations in Latin America? Could you talk more?
Well, see, yeah. Yes. Well, it's not a problem for us, because they are very similar languages, and so we have to respect that the majority of countries speaks Spanish, and we are the only country that speaks Portuguese. We are a huge country, but we are the only country that speaks Portuguese. But anyway, it's not a problem for us. The Portuguese natives and the Spanish natives can read easily in Spanish or Portuguese. And our software, for example, it's important to say our software is prepared to work with all that language. In the other two, we have a very interesting experience just with an Arabic alphabet. That it worked, the software of La Referencia worked with Arabic alphabet, the logical of the Arabic alphabet. And so it's not a problem for us.
Yeah, that sounds like you're also well set up for all those future collaborations, which is wonderful. Okay, so the next question is from Freddie Sumba. Says, excellent presentation and congratulations from CEDA in Ecuador. The question is about future work. So what are your priorities this year and for next year? So your very immediate part, you have a huge list of next steps. Could there be one that's more important than the others?
No, it's very difficult to say, but we are working hardly with the new version of our software, and we are trying to implement some added value in our software. It's very important to us, but I could say as a president of La Referencia that the agreements, that the collaboration with other countries, other regions, for us is very important, and I think that it's very rich for all the countries, and all the regions too, the exchange of experiences.
That makes sense. Yeah. I get the follow-up question to that is, in Ecuador, there's a Dataverse dataset repository, and they're interested in integrating. So, yeah.
I will.
Another one to add to your list. I'm sure that we all, especially in this community, migrating over 200 DSpaces is like, whew.
Yes. We have a lot of work, and because of it, it's difficult for us to say the first thing that we will do, because we have to do the things simultaneously, because it's important. It's very important too. And for example, in Brazil, we have a lot of repositories, and we have the problem that the institution, that the universities not always have the technical personal humans to do that that change, and so we have to follow, we have to aid, and so it's a hard work that we have to do.
Yeah, that is for sure good and difficult work. The next question is from Jessica Lindholm. She asks, she says, thank you for your presentation. She's curious about hearing more about your thoughts on how we can support the change of evaluation systems. How do we get researchers on board? And I guess I'll add, and administrators and systems.
Well, first, I think that we have to start to evaluate, to put in the evaluation, the actions related with open science. It has to be a good evaluation. The people that are working in that strategy. And in the Latin America, we don't have this kind of positive action to the evaluation. And it's very important too, I must say that it's very important too that the country of the North, if they could change the way too, because as you know, we are always looking to the North. What happened to the North, it's a guideline, like a guideline for us. And if the North don't do nothing, don't change, it's more difficult to us to change the things. But we have to discuss. We have to discuss in the national level, in the regional level, in the international level. We have to discuss a lot. But I think that it is one of the points that we have to do now. The priorities is to discuss a new model of evaluation.
Yeah, that's a really powerful thought. And if only we, if the North could make big changes, and then also learn from La Referencia and the collaboration, we'd all be doing better, I'm sure. It's, yeah, interrelated. So the next question comes from Kathleen Scherer. She thanks you for a great presentation. I know there's been a lot of concern in Latin America about the potential damage of transformative agreements, moving from subscriptions to pay to publish. Can you expand on how this might affect Latin America and the impact on research communications in Latin America?
Well, yes. Hi, Kathleen. I don't think, it's my opinion, okay? I don't think that the transformative agreements, it's a solution for us, because we are open access region. Our tradition is to be an open access region. And so I think that we don't have funds to finance all the researchers to publish in that logical of the transformative agreement. We must to develop in the way more important, with more funds, our infrastructure of publication, because we are in the tradition of open access. We have the tradition on open access, and we must to have more support from the institutions in the sector of publication. That's my opinion. I think that transformative agreements are very beautiful. It's a very beautiful term, but transformative for whom? It's my question. I always think that it's a way to maintain the things like the things are by a long time, always.
Yeah, that's that makes I agree with you there. Transformative for whom is a good question to ask. And I love the idea that the tradition in Latin America is already open, and so you don't need to transform it into, into open because you're already there. So that's you're 3 steps ahead of us, and in Montana in many ways. The next question is from Matt Sherman. And it's more about the evaluation. So the question is, how can we who work with and on repositories, so we're at a different level in the institution, how can we work toward that change in evaluation standards? What can we do?
Well, I think that there is a lot of publication that are inside the repositories, but it's not used for the evaluation. And I think that the repositories are key to start to change. It's not in the Web of Science, but it is an article that has had a very good circulation, and we have to give points for that. And the repositories could be very important to use as I forgot the word, but as an instrument for this evaluation to use the repositories. And it could be improve the deposits in the repositories too. I think that it could be very interesting in all the ways you look at.
Yeah, both sides would benefit from repositories being a metric for evaluation. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Those are all the questions that I see posted. So we'll give folks another minute to ask those last questions. And while I say thank you so much, Dr. Amaro, this has been a really wonderful conversation and a really informative talk. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And good luck in everything that all those plans for La Referencia.
Well, I'd like to thank you all to have this opportunity, this so important opportunity to show the world how we work. And I'd like to say that thank you, Leila, and it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'll just say a couple more note-keeping